I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that this is as important a moment in American history as has ever existed. Because this is one of those moments when we as a generation, and by generation, I don't mean millennial versus Z versus boomer, I mean everybody who is an adult, whether you're 18 or 80. This is the moment for us to decide, will we or will we not regenerate, restore, repair, and give rebirth to a constitutional system, a new birth of freedom, as Lincoln called it? Or will we basically allow the shredding of the Constitution in order for some very powerful forces who would like to replace it with a kind of corporate dictatorship to take it from here? I don't think we lack enough people, both on the left and the right, who realize that this really is the decision that is being made at this time. I think sometimes we feel more alone than we need to feel. I think that it is reasonable to assume, and if you really go out there and talk to people, it is obvious that you're not the only one in deep concern, and sometimes despair, sometimes fear, fury about all of this. I think it helps to remember that so are a lot of other people. And more people are doing what they can than we might think. We go, well, but where's the Democratic Party, or where's Congress, or where's the Supreme Court, or whatever? At this point, the question we have to ask is, where am I? Where am I? That's whose path we need to monitor right now, ourselves. When the British lost the war to the Americans during the American Revolution, they had come over here. They were fighting a 17th century war. In the 18th century, there were a bunch of men in bright red coats lined up waiting for someone to yell fire. And the American colonists had been exposed to people who were the indigenous natives on this continent, and they'd simply jumped out from behind trees. And that's our job, jump out from behind a tree. What does that mean? Whatever you can read about today, learn about today, post, share, develop a system within yourself of moral persuasion. Now, part of getting to this point where we're really ready and fully prepared to do this is actually recognizing how critical this is. This is not for sissies, and this is not for children, because I'll tell you something, if you really allow yourself to appreciate how important and how critical and how dangerous this moment is, you kind of grow up very quickly. What needs to happen now, we can't have men acting like boys or women acting like girls, or I can't do it, or the age of any kind of ditziness or distractedness has got to be over now. We have to show up for this moment in a very serious way. And part of that is realizing what's happening even at this moment. With the president's speech yesterday in Virginia, he basically declared that he is using the U.S. military, or planning to use the U.S. military, to wage war on American cities. And, we're way past the point. I remember it seems like so long ago when people would say, well, take him seriously, but don't take him literally. Well, I think we absolutely needed to take him literally, made a mistake not doing so. And now it's more than we should take him literally. Now he has proven that when he makes even these wild, like insane, unconstitutional statements, more often than not, he plans to try to execute those plans. So Governor Pritzker of Illinois has said somebody should invoke the 25th Amendment. This man should be impeached. This man should be removed from office. This man is saying things that are absolutely traitorous to the United States. Now, I want to remind you, I had a guest that I interviewed not long ago, Miles Taylor, who wrote a book called A Warning during the first Trump administration. He himself, at that time, was chief of staff, I think, at the Department of Homeland Security. One of the things he said, either in the op-ed, the anonymous op-ed he had written, or in that book, he said, you think we were like crazy? You think that those of us in that administration weren't sitting around talking about what should we do, what should we do? You think we're not talking about the 25th Amendment? The consensus tended to be it's better for us to stay here and keep them from doing anything really outrageously awful. And in looking back, thank you. But Taylor said at the end of that book, the only way to really keep our democracy safe is to make sure that this man will never be near power again. Well, he's there. Now, I say this because I think it is unreasonable of us to assume that we know what other people are thinking. We've already had people like Senator Lisa Murkowski, who's been interestingly silent recently, who made it very clear. She said people are scared. Some of the people who are going along with Trump, there is every reason to believe that they're scared. Threats made against them. There is also reason to believe that some of the people in the administration are looking at some of these videos of these Gestapo-like techniques against particularly Latino immigrants and going, oh, I think we're going too far here. It is not hyperbolic for me to call these Gestapo-like techniques. I am a Jew. I am very aware. I've been brought up with it all my life. I know what happened and what it meant that Nazi Gestapo were coming in and grabbing Jews and sending them to concentration camps. You know, sometimes people say to me when I make my posts or write articles about what's happening to immigrants now, these ICE raids, oh, Marianne, well, it's not like the Nazis. I mean, they're not being sent to concentration camps. That's exactly where they're being sent. And we already have proof, for instance, at Alligator Alcatraz, that many of them, we don't even know where people are. There's a reason why even U.S. congresspeople, elected officials, try to get into some of these detainment centers and are not allowed to go in. There's a reason for that. They're not allowed to go in because we have enough evidence now from people who have been in and from information that is leaked that some of the treatment is absolutely inhumane. People are being disappeared. The U.S. military is being told by the president that you will now use U.S. cities as training grounds. I have great admiration for many of those generals who were there, and I can only imagine what they're thinking. Let's really hold in our hearts that people are good. Don't make this left versus right. It's so not. You know, there have been many great conservatives in this country. There have been many great liberals in this country. There have been people leaning left who have been great. There are people who have leaned right who are great. This idea that he's going to come after the left-wing lunatics. What wage war against the American people? That's the retribution of the Lord to say to the American people who may or may not agree with you? What, you're afraid that the lefties are going to loot buildings, be violent? Excuse me, I don't think our side did January 6th. Hello. So take it very seriously, and on any given day, be able to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and know, I did my part. And don't underestimate what your part can be, no matter who you are. This all happened because we farmed out our citizenship, the power of our citizenship. We farmed out the power of our own critical thought. It should never have gotten to this point, but it is at this point, and we have to become now the people who, had we been that before, this would never have occurred. And we can do that. It's the 11th hour. There's no doubt about it. In fact, I'll give it to you. It's probably 11:55, but God can do incredible things in an instant. It's serious. You be serious. And do very seriously whatever's in front of you that you can do. Don't forget, October 18th, the No Kings Protest Day. It needs to be massive. And I think a lot of what's happening now, you probably know that the president has passed an executive order for the military to have a domestic team to take care of protests. Like, excuse me, it is a constitutionally given right to protest. This is the First Amendment. It's just as it's a constitutionally given right for me to say everything that I've said in this. Right now, first of all, we need October 18th to be massive. But they're going to do everything that they can to scare people away. And prepare yourself now. For those of you who pray, for those of you who meditate, pray for peace. Pray for peace over that day. And also remember, just as we're not the enemy of those soldiers, they're not our enemies either. Remember, you don't know what's going on inside people's heads. When you go, and you should start thinking about this now, when you go to the No King's Day demonstration, go with love. And I mean that seriously. You know, Portland is the city of roses. Maybe have a rose on you. Carry a rose, carry a little copy of the Constitution. My father used to have a little copy that he kept with him. Maybe a copy of the Bible, the whatever scripture, poetry, inspiration. And if anybody yells at you, if anybody tries to bait you, and there will be people there trying to bait you, that is part of the process, to say things like, love you, you know, sing, gather with people. There are trainings already. People gather together to be at peace, go with peace. Do not do any things like that, you know, showing fists and stuff. It's not helpful right now in a lot of situations because of things that they'll use. They'll put together videos. They will, they'll do what they do. You go with love, and it's the power of massive groups of people, hopefully millions of just loving people, walking, singing, sending love. That's the miracle we need. And we do need it. Start preparing yourself now. Most importantly, prepare your heart. See ya.